Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about the arrival of AggroYang. All right, so last night was the Ohio, CNN, New York Times Debate 4, right? And it was very exciting. Andrew Yang did better than he's done in any debate previously. And one of the things we saw last night was just everybody on that stage having to engage with Yang, because he has fully arrived as a very, very real threat to everyone on that stage, and no one can ignore him anymore. Not the mainstream media, not those candidates on that stage, not Americans. Everyone needs to recognize Yang, right? But more than anything else, I think the biggest, most fundamental change we saw last night was an Andrew Yang who really went into AggroYang mode. So he was incredibly aggressive, and I want to talk about that change from the path of peace, which he used in debate 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think in debate 1 he was like, hey, I'm an American laborer, I'm a person from among the people, and I'm running for president. So debate 1 was a huge accomplishment. It was an American stepping out from among us to really engage and run for president, something that traditionally only politicians do, right? And then in debate 2 and debate 3, I think Andrew Yang was truly on this path of peace. And in debate 4, AggroYang was unveiled, right? All right. So I really want to talk about this. Let's talk about the full scope of it: who, what, when, where, why, and how. Okay. All right, so what is it, right? So what is AggroYang? Well, AggroYang is this Andrew Yang who was in an incredibly aggressive stance, had an incredibly aggressive demeanor, and adopted aggressive speech, right? And it was all there. And where you could really see this was two specific things that he did, and he got a very clear benefit from it, right? So one of them was, what did he do, and what did he, so two things he did is he went long on time, right? So he just blew past his time limit, and he interjected, right? Which some people could say is an interruption. I do think he was careful to interject rather than interrupt. Interject is pushing your point in to a small gap in a conversation, right? Interrupting is just talking right over somebody. And I think he did interject rather than interrupt. But from moving from the path of peace that Yang was on previously, this is a very, very big, important distinction, right? So we really, so what is AggroYang, right? Also, what is AggroYang? I really think AggroYang is a construct. I really think Andrew Yang's base nature is an intellectual. He's a really cool person. I think he's incredibly physical, but so the question is, is he? We talked recently about Walter White or Jesse Pinkman. Is he Walter White? Is he educated, cautious, and aloof, or is he Jesse Pinkman? Is he fundamentally does he have grit, boldness, and loyalty? Right? And I think fundamentally, I really think Andrew Yang is a Walter White. He's educated, cautious, and aloof. Right? And when you see him putting on grit, boldness, and loyalty, these are cloaks he's putting on, right? But that's the question: is it maybe that he is a Jesse Pinkman, and that the education, the caution, and the aloofness are what we'll put on? It's really a fascinating question. I think it's an incredibly fascinating question. I think at the end of the day, I think AggroYang is a construct, right? All right, so that's what who's responsible for this, right? So first and foremost, Andrew Yang, he makes the final decision in his campaign, right? But I think the who is very important here. Andrew Yang in Q3 got $10 million. There are 70 new people that he recently hired, right? And I definitely think there are new voices in his campaign, and I think they really brought him, they helped him to understand, you've got to unveil AggroYang. It's necessary, right? Excuse me. By the way, what was the benefit he got from unveiling AggroYang? Well, one, in words talked, he was 9th, right? So he did move up. Tulsi was last. Tulsi was the person who spoke the least, right? Now, Tulsi is incredibly, she's non-interventionist, right? She is very polite. She is very, she has this really calm demeanor. You cannot use the term aggro with Tulsi. She's not aggro. And it put her in last place. Even that new scrub, Tom Steyer, had more speaking time than she did, right? Which is crazy. And so I think that's the benefit he got. Is I really don't think that AggroYang wanted to do this, but I think the who is important. I think his new advisors were telling him to do this. Also, there were a lot of political commentators that were calling for this. Paget Kaegi called for this, right? Everything he did, she asked him to do. Many other of his followers were saying, you've got to jump in, you've got to be more aggressive. And he listened and he did it, right? So the who is important. There were a lot of people calling for him to do this, right? And I was not among them. This went in a different direction than I expected. I fully support his decision. I really, I am 100% aware that what's happening with these U.S. presidential primary Democrat candidate races, it is incredibly difficult, and you've got to take some risks, and this is a risk he chose to take, right? So we did the what, we did the who, when. So he unveiled this in debate 4, right? And I think that's important to understand, right? One of the things I think is you are seeing is debate 1. Debate 1 is incredible that AggroYang was just like, hey, I'm here, I'm serious about this, let's do this, right? It was really in many ways a declaration, a very, kind of an echo declaration. He had already announced, but it was a very public announcement that I'm here, I'm part of this, right? Debate 2 and 3, those were the paths of peace, and he was really trying something out. And I think AggroYang really wanted to say, let's have a civil discourse. Let's not adopt Trumpian methods. Let's not adopt age-old politician methods, right? And I think he really wanted to have a civil discourse. And now we know it's not possible, right? So the reason why we're seeing this in debate 4 is he will change his tactics and his strategy on a dime. And it's very clear everybody in this game has got to do that. If something's not working, you've got to change it, and you've got to change it on the run. I think that's one of the things that's really fascinating about these elections, about these primary races, is you got to be able to change and pivot. You've got to be able to just turn and take a different tactic and a different strategy incredibly quickly. So we talked about the when, we talked about the how, we talked about the what. Where. The only thing that's important about the where, so this is in a heartland state. This is in Ohio, right? And Klobuchar says this isn't. I think these wheres really, the location does not matter that much, right? You will hear these politicians talk about a local issue, but they're only talking to 1,000, 2,000, whatever the number is in that stadium. These are really global events. These debates they're global events, right? And they really don't have a where. They are occurring in the ether. They are occurring on the internet. The important part is that this is being globally, simultaneously, massively distributed, right? Live. That's important. It's really important. The where does not matter in any way. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Why? Why did AggroYang do this? Well, one of the reasons why is he has got to win, right? So, and I think that's one of the things that, so I'm a little unhappy today, because I'm seeing, that he could not have civil discourse. He was not allowed to approach, getting the presidency through civil discourse. He had to shift into this aggression mode. It's the only thing the camera would respect. It's the only thing the other politicians would respect. It's the only thing that we, the viewers, would respect. And it's sad. It's truly sad. And it's one of the reasons why Trump is so dominant right now. He understood this about us, and I think all of us were, really thinking, politics can be this parlor setting. And it can't. It can't. You're going to have to do a lot of crazy stuff to get there. And one of the things that's really sad, the reason why is you cannot be the person you will be when you are leading as president. You have to be this completely different, strange being when you're running. And some of the things you're going to choose to do I think they're far removed from our actual base nature. I really feel like the AggroYang we saw last night is not Andrew Yang's base nature. It is a construct he needed to make, right? Let's talk about how. How did he do this? I am convinced what you saw last night was the creation of dozens of hours of practice. I think he practiced interjecting. I think he practiced going long. I think he practiced. Last night I thought he was hitting the mic because he wasn't used to the podium mic and he was just kind of like, hitting it on accident. One of my subscribers, really great point, said that they thought he was hitting it to see if his mic was on, because at these debates they play these shenanigans where they'll cut your mic, right? And so I think that very well may have been the case. So the how this was practiced. This was truly practiced, and this is one thing that I think is really important for us to understand. A lot of people like to say, "Oh, this person's stupid. This person's dumb." There is no one stupid, no one dumb running on the Republican or the Democrat side. We need to abandon that language because it allows voters, it allows Americans to think that you can get in front of these, in front of tons of reporters who are all Ivy League, graduates, or half of them are Ivy League graduates, and just spout whatever nonsense you want. It's not. Donald Trump is not in any way dumb or stupid. He is incredibly crafty, and he is smart. There's no two ways about this. And every candidate on that stage last night is very, very smart, right? And one of the reasons why we know this is the how, right? Andrew Yang had to change his base nature. He had to, strip himself down, right? He had to pull off sections of his personality, get rid of them, and reattach these new modules, these aggression modules, right? And I'm telling you, there ain't no time to do this lightly and with comfort and with ease. I think this was painful. I think this was physically painful. I think it was emotionally painful. I think it was intellectually painful what Andrew Yang has had to do over the last few weeks. I really think between the last debate and this debate, he had to practice this AggroYang and build piece by piece this AggroYang construct that you saw last night. And that brings back another point, is what you are seeing. It is so clear now that running for the U.S. presidency is harder than it has ever been, and that people are just pulling strips of their souls off with their bare hands. This is hard. It will take a decade or more of your life. That is so clear, right? I don't think people have any idea how challenging this is, right? Because I think these candidates they're out in front of these vipers, these media vipers, who are just looking every single day to trap them in a falsehood, to trap them in a mistake, to trap them in getting the candidate to say what they want to say. So they have to be on guard every single second of the day. Then they're surrounded by followers who are just pushing and pressing and demanding, just so that they can get another selfie, so they can get another handshake, and they're not trying to be mean or anything, but everybody wants, everybody's taking, right? And so there's just no time. There's no time, and they're pressed, and the throng is there, the media is there, your supporters are there, your foes are there, the other candidates you're encountering, right? And so you're in front of this camera constantly, every single day, and every moment of peace when you go back, it's stripped away, right? You have to be making calls when you're not directly on the camera, getting big donors, and then also you have to be in the free private moments when you should be resting, right? You have to tear parts of your soul off of you, right? And attach these new, really quite alien aspects to yourself. And I think every single one of us really needs to be thankful to all of these candidates, except Tom Steyer. And we need to be thankful. Even Warren and Biden and Sanders and I don't like saying thank you to them, but they're all doing this so that there can be a leader that they believe in, and at least that one person believes in. And Andrew Yang more than anybody else. The difference is he wants to be a leader, and he's actually worthy of it. In character, in heart, in intelligence, he's worthy. But I am incredibly struck by how much AggroYang is sacrificing to get this job done. I don't think any of us really have a full understanding of how incredibly costly this is for AggroYang, and what he is leaving, behind. What parts of him are being lost in this journey? There's a level of sacrifice that I think we don't really embrace each day, and I am thankful, and I am saying thank you to AggroYang right now. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments, please. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.